Hey guys, this is Joe, and this video update called The Holographic Universe. It's a book about physics, and it's a pretty good book. Anyways, what I have extrapolated from my essence is totally different than all the fluff of the science. What I have extrapolated is that it is indeed a holographic universe. This is true. And for me, that's not all too different than saying that the world that you see outside is a series of colored mirrors cascading before you. What I mean by this will be understood after this first point is overstood. So, first point is that to our society, a hologram is a three-dimensional construct of intersecting lasers. And what the book's really saying is that all of this physical matter, the physical matrix, is a hologram. And the first point to be overstood from my essential extrapolation, the first bullet point on this video is that in the event that one extracts a tiny piece of a hologram, then that piece contains all of the information necessary to reconstruct the whole. So even in the smallest atom in the physical matrix, it contains the information in some way to reconstruct the entire universe. And it just depends on how you look at it. So the second point is that life around you is a cascade of colored mirrors of yourself. Because you are a small piece of the universe, yet you are the whole universe spun around and viewed a certain way, your point of view. So you lack nothing. And when you see someone else, it's a colored mirror because there's a tint, there's a slight change. It's different than yourself. Yet holographically, which is true, it contains all of the data in order to reconstruct the whole. So it's another variation of you from a different point of view. Another variation of you from a different point of view. And everybody's whole, and everybody has the whole universe, and we also are a tiny piece of the whole universe. It's a holographic universe. And the reason why we color people a certain way is that when they have an ego, at times we need to give them a certain journey. And it might seem dark, but full circle, it's not, because they're learning lessons. But we're helping them, and we're coloring their journey a certain way, so in the future they can look back and rewind and see the reasons why it might have seemed dark to them. You know, I'm not saying I do this all the time, but for certain people, when they're not living themselves fully, then we need to teach them a lesson. And it is a service to others, and you're giving them clarity in order to see how to apply their love to a higher degree. So those are the 2 points of the holographic universe. And when people have the biggest ego and their dark enemy, then I call them the dark mirrors. And there's a certain amount of defense that has to be maintained, and you maintain your own journey first. And even 100% service to other people have to color the lives of others in a way that makes sense so they can learn their lessons And if they don't do that, they actually won't even be able to maintain their whole field around them, and the creator won't give them the wherewithal to be sane, because they're just shining love and love and love and love into a fool, and then the fool is like a parasite. The parasite feeds and feeds and feeds off a host and eventually destroys. And this is not the relationship for people together in this world under the sun. It's not what was intended. So when people are just feeding and feeding off of you, why are you shining light into them? You need to color them with the lessons. Hence the cascade of colored mirrors analogy. And to the furthest sense, it's the dark mirror analogy. You being the light and then the other being the dark, because you need to maintain your field first, your good vibes, your health field, because your good vibes have to be tended to impeccably and maintained impeccably in order to have the alchemical relationship with the etheric realm, which grounds into the physical matrix, which after all is a hologram. And for your unique point of view, your hologram is maintained whole before projecting outward. When you say, I have the authority to shine love into people, well, maybe those people have ego, and show me the ones who don't. So this is a fine level of being a teacher for your school of life lessons that you're administering to the people around you. And the ones who understood this will understand that they are at a high enough consciousness level that when you're a higher consciousness than someone else, then it is your duty to administer lessons and be a teacher for your own school of remembering who you are and your own hologram. And the application of love to another is not always the highest reflection of the universal logos, and the logical system of the universe isn't always directly seen in someone else on the planet. It's your own self's higher selves. That's why it's called the higher self. It's not applying love to someone else and thinking that that's your higher self. Your higher self is the sixth note in the scale, right below the archangels. And then between that's your significant journey of your own unique legend on earth. And then lower than that is your soul. And then here we are, the third note of the scale in the human experience. So hopefully that will encourage and engender a communication that will spark your own unique personal revelation.